Welcome to Highlander CEDH Podcast, the show where we talk about tournament CEDH. Real quick, before we get started, a couple announcements. As usual, you guys know my tournament Highlander 3 is happening on September 26th. It's going to be at the Woodside Event Center in Broadview Heights, Ohio. Fun, competitive event where we celebrate the players by giving away booster packs each round to, random people in pods, host feature matches, where we bring a random Swiss pod up into the feature match table, record them on stream, and give them a chance to win secret CDH staples from provider Duluth. And we always have great vendors on site, so we're going to have multiple vendors this time and a full cafeteria. Last time we had 90 players, and I'm really hoping we get over the 100 mark this time. Also, I'm going to be at the Columbus Excalibur this Friday, so if you see me, come say hey. I'm going to be getting signatures and buying collectibles, playing some last chance qualifiers. May not stick around the whole weekend. Might hop over to some other events that are going on from some local guys that I love, but I'll definitely be there on Friday and hanging out. My conversation today is with Evan FreedomWaffle Pierce, a New Mexico player who's most famous for his no bad cards Kinnan list that's taken over the format this year and caused an absolute ruckus. So he's also basically, one of the top players in the CDH meta. He's constantly on the top deck leaderboard, mainstay in the invitationals. He has excellent photography skills. Most people's profile photos are a photo taken by Waffle at one of the events that they went to. He runs a business F6 with his partners, and that is an amazing business where they sell, anime-inspired playmats and dice and all these other cool things that you can use in game. And he's on the CDH team Zenith or Zen. That's all the announcements for this episode. So without further ado, let's get into the show. How many of these have you done so far?
How many of podcasts?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. A lot. But it's been over a long period of time, so I'm not sure.
That's true.
I mean, it all, everything kind of started when I was doing the online stuff, when all the online tournaments were there. But that was 3 years ago now, maybe 4.
During COVID?
It was after COVID for me when I really got into it. End of COVID. So
yeah,
I think it was 2021, 2022, something like that.
Was it mostly on Discord, or was that early Discord days and stuff like?
No, everything was on Discord for sure. Yeah. At least, yeah. Again, I basically just won a tournament and then had a controversy in another top 4, and then made a Twitter. And then that's how I kind of met everyone. It was funny. It was the
how'd you get famous in the format? Yeah, a little controversy, created a Twitter account. The rest is history.
Literally though, it was I don't know. Some people were coming at me for it was basically a whole priority bullying thing where it's funny because it's such ancient politics now where it's that definitely people understand politics way better now. So I don't think this would have happened back in the day, but or now I mean, but I just didn't. I knew someone had something and I was in a bad spot and I had a revealed counterspell and I refused to cast it without them showing what they had or activating their Thrasios that they could activate. And then decided that they wanted to lose the game. But I was kind of being I had not learned many politics. I was probably being a little bit too frustrated, definitely being a little bit too frustrated. So yeah. I didn't come off well. And so they were pissed, and that's probably why they didn't do it. Now it's it's just such a different game now,
I feel and there's an evolution to playing the game. So I'm just now getting to the point where I do consistently well. I'll win a game or two every tournament. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then eventually once every 3 months, I'll hit the moon and go to 3 wins,
Yeah.
And I feel there's an evolution to learning how to play in CDH because you learn, okay, what priority bullying is. You learn that you're doing it and you go, okay, there's an eloquent way to figure out what people have without bullying them. You know what I mean? You can figure information out. You know what I mean? And then I feel I've had a couple instances with really good locals that are higher level where I think I'm good, but then we get in conversations and then we butt heads and you just have to learn okay, me and this really good person, our personalities don't mesh and I should be nice and more forgiving in these games and I'll get farther,
Right. No, totally. And I think that I think there's a huge difference between priority bullying and bullying. And I think that people, the big thing is at that time, no one understood what priority bullying was or this was when mana bullying became public. That was the other thing. Not that was really what the crux of the issue was about, but that's when it there was someone tapping a land to reset priority. And people were oh, that's terrible, which is not, it didn't even matter. But anyways, the whole term the terminology is what got people pissed. But people on the internet are going to be mad no matter what. It's going to, for some reason, like anything on the internet, I guess it's because of anonymity, they're going to be like way more vocal, way more outspoken about everything. So I learned that firsthand, and just kind of been, I don't know. I mean, honestly, everything worked out well with it, but it was just like I was like, oh my God, why is there so much drama? I've never met these people. Like, what's going on?
Because people have to find something to talk about, dude,
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're bored.
Like controversy. And I heard before I even joined the format, it sounds like there was drama every week. It was just like, it's just what it is. I think that's just, any online community is going to be like that. So
I also think, and we can get into the pod. Well, you want to get going?
Let's start. Yeah.
All right, let's do it. This is nice, though. It's a nice little preamble. So,
yeah.
Waffle, welcome to the pod, man. Thanks for being here.
Yo, thanks for having me. I'm stoked, man.
Yeah, excited to have you on. We just saw each other briefly in Pittsburgh, and what a tournament that was. I want to chat with you about that, but I also just want to get a beat on you and how the season's going, and just overall learn a little bit more about you as a player. And I'm really excited to dig in.
Dude, I'm stoked. This is going to be a good podcast.
Sweet. Okay, so let's talk about 2026. I feel like. What's interesting? I was looking at your top deck profile. You and I are one tournament off from each other. So,
oh really?
Other players, 60 tournaments, 45 tournaments this year, just really trying to get those points. Dude, you have 15 tournaments.
Yeah. I only go to the big ones. I don't have a single. Okay, maybe I have one bronze. I think I did one bronze when I was just there in North Carolina, and they needed the 16th player. That was the only reason I did it. And then I think we didn't even play the top four. It was single limb. I won the round one, and then we just didn't even play the top four. Someone else was like, "I want the points." I'm like, "All right, whatever."
Whatever.
But I mean, I don't know. It's just this year has just been so busy that I have a fantastic LGS. I just don't have time right now to go to it. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Tavern of Souls, shout out Tavern of Souls in Albuquerque, New Mexico. They're awesome, but
Dude, I'll put the
I haven't
logo
been
up
there,
right
so
Boom,
I missed them.
Souls.
Tavern of Souls, yes. But yeah, man, I've just been traveling to all the big tournaments, and that's basically it.
Nice, man. Yeah, I know. We talked, and I was like, yeah, where are you from, dude? And you were like, New Mexico. And I'm like, oh, that's a long flight. And then you were like, yeah, I'll see you in Columbus, I think, right? I'm like, that's in 2 weeks, bro.
Yep.
You're going to turn around and fly back?
Dude, May was the most brutal one because there was Mother's Day, so I traveled to see my parents. And then we were 3 weekends in a row. I think what was the first one? I think it was Quest. And then was it Landgo Expo? And then D-Grid. All in a row. And then right after that, since then, it's been every other week, which has been great, honestly, but a lot.
Is it a business decision? You're like, I have to be at these big ones, so I'm just going to roll the dice on all these big ones and just participate and take pictures and F6 and all that good stuff there, and then just ignore the locals. Not ignore the locals, but you prioritize the big stuff because you have to be there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think some of this is not necessarily a conscious decision. It's just if I can, I will, Yeah. I think it's really hard to say no when you've got a good opportunity. So, I'm trying to say no more just for my personal well-being, to go to tournaments. But, I mean, I don't know. We get to work with some awesome people, and there's a lot of really good TOs right now that are working with me. So doing photography for them. And it's I mean, it's an awesome deal. I get to shoot photos and I get to play in the tournaments. And so when my travel gets covered for that, it's so hard to say no to that. Right. So, yeah. So that's kind of what's been going on. And then also with F6 supply, that's, that only started in March. Honestly, I was already going to all these tournaments, and it's well, let's just kind of combine this and start vending them too. So that's been going really well. Been stoked about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, the booth is sick. I don't whenever you were I don't want to give any inside baseball, but you were talking to the Crimson Lion gang, and you were like, if you get a media pass, it's a lot cheaper to get all this stuff.
Yeah.
Here,
Mm-hmm. Actually, pro tip for anyone trying to fly around, if you have any connections with production, any video production, photo production, you can get tons. I think it's 25 bags with a media pass at an airline. For $50 each, even if they're overweight. I think it's under 100 pounds or under 75 maybe. But otherwise, it's so expensive. And so we could justify that with doing photo stuff and video stuff at these events. So it makes it it's a good thing to do.
Oh my God.
But yeah, 100%.
I'm going to go on a family reunion and be like, yeah, we're all media. Everybody back here, 100-pound
media.
bags. This is my camera person. He's 3 years old,
Yep.
Figure it out. Just
You just
probably
gotta,
like a
you
really
have to have an
official
actual media badge, otherwise they won't believe you though. So
yeah. So
gotta do
is Magic and tournaments and like your involvement in F6, is that your full-time job now, or do you have another job? Okay, so you have another career.
Yeah, I am a full-time cinematographer and editor. So yeah, that's been the part that's been more exhausting than the tournaments, is that like I'm still working, well, ideally 40 hours a week in between. And I try not to take any days off when traveling, just so that I can I'll work editing on the plane or whatever else for video stuff on the plane, both directions, and then I try to come back early on Mondays and work Mondays. So honestly right now my ritual has been sleeping like 14 hours Monday nights after getting back, and then I'm good.
So you just woke up.
Yeah. Well, it's Wednesday, so yeah, I've been sleeping for like 48 hours.
Yeah, 48 hours. Oh my god, it is Wednesday. Yeah. That's cool. Is it, if you don't mind me asking, television or social media, or is it what's the medium?
Yeah, I mean, it just definitely depends on the client. We do a lot of stuff for the Department of Health in New Mexico, and then some businesses, some school organizations, like some charter school organizations, and then there's like tech companies, all kinds of stuff. It's a mix of social media and television, definitely a lot of both. But yeah, we do a lot of what we're doing right now is we got a contract with the biggest university in New Mexico right now, so we have a really big project going on, so that's coming up, and that's going to be just like a really fun creative video. But yeah, a lot of it is it just definitely depends on the client, but TV is definitely a fun place to be.
Nice, man. And then is your family from Mexico too? New Mexico?
Yeah, I grew up in northern New Mexico. I guess my family's not from there, but I was born in Washington State. But they, I don't even remember it. We moved here before I was, when I was like 2. So,
yeah.
And then they traveled all over the country. They're from the East Coast, but they met on the West Coast, and now we live in the middle. So,
oh my gosh. Yeah, all over the place. My sister-in-law just got married up in North Cali, and then I have a client on my business side that's in Washington State, so I'm there all the time.
Nice.
I love that
it's
place.
so
It's
beautiful. I love the PNW. It's amazing. It's it's the best.
Well, cool, man. Okay, so videography, and then you basically have the side business of F6. Is that just you, sole owner, or do you have like a partner or anything?
Adam Holmes and I, we're co-founders. And so Adam is responsible for a lot of for that glow up sign, that really bright sign. Yes, that was his idea. I do a lot of the design work and the marketing, and then it was my vision in the beginning. And then Adam is honestly just the best human ever, and has just so many skills with finding products, figuring out how to do logistics and all kinds of stuff. So it's been I've tried a lot of things in the past just by myself, and I'm so glad that we are partnering for this, because it's been this has been a big realization. It's okay, we could just do more if we work together and complement each other in these different areas. So it's been honestly awesome. I'm really stoked about it.
Yeah, man, you can go fast by yourself, but you go way farther with people. That's what I realized. I did my business that I run by myself for a year, and I was making good money, but the security of having multiple people be able to help you build something larger than just what you can do by yourself is great. So that's awesome, man. And your stuff
it's so easy to get behind if you don't have someone pushing you and helping you. So.
Keep you accountable, right?
Exactly.
All right, cool, man. So, okay, we got the waffle, who you are, the business, your basically your travel life and everything. Let's talk about the Top Tech season, because you mentioned a lot of stuff in May. You did mention the fact that you crushed half those tournaments, you know what I mean, on this NBC list that you've been running. And I know when I started listening to you on podcasts and stuff, I felt like you were more on you ran T&K for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, before the dockside bans, I was T&K for a year and a half, maybe. Something like that.
And then you kind of swapped over to Kennen when the dockside bans happened, right?
Yeah, right after the ban, I decided to, I was I don't want to play Metadeck. I'm going to play Brew. I decided to switch to Shorikai for a bit. And just brew that. And that's kind of where, and it wasn't just my idea or anything, but this is where the NBC, style came from, is basically copying Ristic Study. Or I guess if you put clones in your deck, it makes up for not being able to tutor the card, because someone else is going to put it into play, right? And that was the whole thing, is we could actually still, Ristic Study is going to make any deck broken. So if we can just, get it into play, we can play all these other powerful synergies or just like tons of interaction. And so Shorikai like was where all that came. And then honestly, it was kind of a big mana artifact deck in the first place, and it kind of transferred really well to Kinnan. It was the same idea, just like, let's, instead of like having a draw engine in the command zone, let's have a combo outlet in the command zone that also makes mana. So it's like, it all kind of worked really well together. It's like, once you're drawing cards, all you want is mana. That's it, right? And I guess interaction, right? And then you're going to be able to win the game. So those two ideas kind of coincided after the bans.
100%. And Ken is the best mana engine, I would say, in the command zone of any commander. Like, and those are the two axes you're trying to win the game on: card advantage and mana advantage, up until you win the game, right? And interaction just gets you to that late game. Is we've all heard this because this deck that you're running is crushing the meta, right? Or at least I would say up until maybe this weekend we could chat about that, because I feel like the meta's finally starting to react to the NBC. Which is a weird thing because, I mean, I'm going to be honest, man. The last 4 guests I had, all great players, were all like, ban Rhystic Stutter. I'm tired of this card. And I know you probably feel the same way. Yeah. but it didn't really do much this weekend. I mean, it did. But not as much as it's been doing. And I think it's because the creature decks are... The response has been, and I want to hear your opinion on this, Sisay and Rogthras were in the top. Right, and that is creature combo. We're not casting that many spells. If we are, they're not non-creature spells to avoid the fish, and we're just going to combo off and win with activations, which is very, very interesting reaction that I thought was a little delayed. Honestly, I thought that was going to happen faster than it did. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think they got new tools recently, and the decks have been getting better, and pilots have been learning and exploring them in the current meta. Like Shang-Chi was really, really strong this weekend.
Oh my god!
And so that was incredibly powerful. Just giving haste to all your creature combos is insane, it turns out, especially on a card that's already good on its own. So I think that the people have been cutting interaction quite a lot, like myself included. I still like my amphibian downpour tech because it's like you got to have a silver bullet, but it's really hard to deal with these decks that don't use the stack like normal. Like we run all these counter spells for non-creature spells because that's what the slot meta is like designed for. Like when everyone's drawing a bunch of cards from Rhystic, you need to beat their counter spells. You literally need to have like the same amount or more. Because if everyone draws their entire deck, like you're gonna have to go 1 for 1. Well, kind of. You're gonna have to have enough counter spells to keep up with the pod, is all I'm saying. So I think that like getting under all of that is really strong right now, and it's like inevitability. It's like you can find a couple of removal spells, but like bounce spells pretty much suck against them, and unless you like cut them off really early on their mana, which is hard. But they're like so resilient and able to rebuild because their whole deck does the same thing. Like Rogthras, their whole deck is doing the same thing. All the cards are just different versions of the same card. I mean, not exactly, but like they're all going to just be creatures into play, making Cradle better, and then just like activate. You're just going to get this like momentum going, and it's really, really hard to stop without like hard removal that people aren't running because bounce spells are so much more efficient and hit everything so that you can beat a stacked out board. So yeah, I think it's like definitely a good place to be right now. Obviously, if you get stuck in a pot, I mean, these decks, if there's too much of another type of deck in the meta, right? Like for example, if there's too much turbo, turbo's going to win because it's hard to keep up with it. If there's too much mid-range Rhystic, like, if there's one Sisay in a pod with everyone else drawing a ton of cards, they're going to find answers to Sisay, right? So I think it's when you find this middle ground of not too much of any one archetype, or maybe just more creature decks in the meta, it gets a lot better. So it's interesting how the meta like sways back and forth.
Everything you said makes total sense. I totally agree. These creature decks it's like they're self-contained because all they're doing is building a house, and so they don't necessarily need to be able to react to a pod as much as a deck like NBC. NBC relies on a lot of spells being cast, not even a lot, but just like a moderate amount of spells being cast and somebody trying to win, at least one deck trying to win with a non-creature. I feel like I like a turbo deck at the pod, or 1 or even 2 with an NBC list because they feed you so much. If you can get your engine down before they go, like a Ral, I'm like, oh my god. Or an Atali, I'm like, please Atali off and draw me 15 cards and then I'll hit you with a silence, or I'll hit you with NBT,
Yep.
Like, that's beautiful. But when it's a Sisay and they go Sisay, pass, and you're like, shit.
It's like, how do I deal? Like, okay, bounce it. All right. Play it again, like whatever.
Cast again with more mana. You're like, oh no.
I know, those are so hard. Those matchups can be really tough. And like, I think that's one of the things that is like the way to fight that is, again, you have to be like very preemptive with your interaction. You have to like I'm Chain of Vaporing a Bloom Tender the moment it comes down if I am in a spot to do that. Like, that's fine. And I think that because your Chain of Vapor is not going to matter later. right? It just won't your interaction. So I think that like you could definitely like fight them, but if there's too many in the pod, there's nothing you can do, right? Like, or other than, win, I guess.
You know who I learned that about? I have a really good Arkham Dagson player that plays in our local.
Yeah.
His name's Hunter, and he is really tough to beat. And what I found out is try and make someone else deal with Arkham or preemptively. Be like, kind of point it out and be like, hey, can anybody remove this? And if they can't get anybody else to do it, you do it and then win. Otherwise,
totally,
you're dead in 3 turns. Like,
yeah, you just can't interact with it. Like, you can't remove all the, I don't know, you can try to remove some of the creatures they're doing, but they're going to untap it. Like, the creatures they're targeting with Arkham, but they're going to untap it over and over. It's just not going to end well for you. So,
if they're playing a bunch of spell slingers, they're going to hit you with oh my God. What is it? Everything costs 2 more.
God Pharaoh statue.
And if it's Rob Frost decks, they're going to hit you with a portal.
Exactly.
They have the answer to both, and they start with that, and then they win from there. It's just brutal.
Yeah, 100%. I think also people are like pretty tired of the Rhystic meta, and so maybe that's like a reaction that people are having, switching away from it to these creature decks. So honestly, I'm very curious to see if it continues to be like a very creature dominant meta, and it like, I think if that continues to be the case for a bit, like definitely worth teching your deck to it. Like adding some hard removal could be worth it. Like some board wipes, like who knows, maybe Cyclonic Rift comes back. I don't know, but I've been a hater of that card for a while, but it's a powerful card. I like very efficient, cheap interaction is the only downside. But bounce spells are going to be good. But like if you're stuck in this game where the game is going slow because you couldn't push through, you're going to have to be able to deal with it. Or, Turbo's another way to beat it. Like if Rock Frost is just hanging out and they're just putting creatures in play, if you just win, if they don't have the counterspell, you're going to be...
You win. Yeah.
You just get underneath them as well. Like it's kind of all these layers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I brought basically the most vanilla, middle of the like very hyper efficient blue farm list because I wanted to be. I didn't know what I was going to see. I knew there were decks like NBC Kinnan. I knew there were Rog Ishais. I knew there were Rog Size. There were like 3 Anala players that were there. Like,
yeah, I know.
I was like, I need to play into all of these and be able to be the most pivotal I can possibly be. And so I just kept like 1 CMC, 2 MC blue farm, 2 CMC blue farm. Like I took out Jesper, even though that's like my baby. Like I love J Will. Yeah. But I was like, too clunky and too much of a dead card in certain matchups, so you're gone, And I did okay. I ended with 9 points, like 1 win, 4 draws, just absolutely brutal draws. But the weekend felt good overall. Like my one victory for this weekend was no bad games. Like everybody was, every game I walked away was like, that was a good fight. Whatever it was, no one walked away upset and freaking out and all that stuff. So I wish I would have. Totally. I got today too, but I wish I would have made it into top 16. But
same.
Yeah, man, it was brutal. I don't know how do you feel like the games went?
Yeah, I feel like it's such a cop-out answer to blame things on RNG, but I definitely had some bad RNG moments. I'm sure it's not just that, but there was definitely some things to point to. Like I remember the last pod, I was against Ral Atali on my winning end, which is just so hard. But like I was able to like kind of politic a deal, just working with another player who's the only one who had any like agency. Basically, they were like able to exile a Spirit Guide to make the Jessica's will make 1 less mana. That was the leverage we had, right? Like it wasn't great, but that was enough. And so basically, we made a deal for the Atali not to hit a clone, not to cast a clone or whatever, like win that turn. They could set up, but they couldn't win that turn. They hit a clone, so they didn't cast it. They were by their word. I go to my turn. I'm able to find a clone, and I just like fully whiff. Atali goes to their turn. Because I took the mana ball off the top of their deck, they drew the clone that was right underneath it, and then they hit clone. I'm like, this is so frustrating. And they were hellbent, right? Like it was like nothing in hand, just a blind flip, and I was like, come on. Even if I had hit a little bit more mana, I think I had it, but that's fine. That's RNG, right? And then, but there was another game where I had resolved Hullbreaker Horror win, had been like trying to push for no one slow played, but it was just like a big
standing behind you in this
big mana caught. Yeah. Lots of Rhystics in this pod. So like lots going on. My opponents were awesome, super respectful. They were like very respectful of time, but everything takes a while with Rhystic triggers, right? It just does. So I got to resolve Hullbreaker Horror, presenting infinite mana. Everyone's dead. They have nothing else. And time is called. And so I got a draw.
Was that with the Anala player in seat 1?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I played against him the next round. Dude was super cool. Yeah.
Yeah. They were all great. Like, I'm just like, I have to kind of like rush them, and they were super cool. And like, yeah, they were awesome. So just, it wasn't their fault. It was just tough beats, right? Like sometimes you run out of time right at the end there. And that's okay.
It's a risky run with running a deck
yeah.
that's like almost a control deck, right?
Yeah, exactly, right. And that's the big thing is like it's hard with Ristic to like finish games right now. But I love these games where I'm like, cool, I beat every spell in your deck. Like every spell you ran out of mana, right? That's why you couldn't cast everything. But like that's what I built the game up to be. I beat up like I think one of the in that game I literally did the Chain of Vapor play. That's what I was talking about. Is like I tempoed the guy's Sanctum Weaver, the other Kinnan player's Sanctum Weaver on turn like 1. I just bounced it to hand, and then because I just like was gonna tap out that mana in the next turn cycle, and like he literally drew his entire deck later that game, and was so short on mana, right? And like if I had like probably 5 more minutes, I win that game for sure.
I had a game where I deconned to try and win. Exiled everything but like 8 cards, and I had a full grip of interaction in my hand, and I was like, cool, can't win this game, understood. And I spent the next 40 minutes trying to draw the game by interacting with the other players, because I was like, I have no outs, I'm just going to try and play as hard as I can into a draw. And I ended up I had a player endurance me so I could keep playing, then I had another player time twister me so I could keep playing and use the same 3 counter spells.
That's insane.
It was bananas. Yeah, we drew. Yeah. I think it was against Alumbra, and like it was against you might know him. He's from I think he's Pinnacle. Aaron.
Yeah,
I love Aaron, dude. He was such a good sport, but we fought to the bitter end. Like
did he endurance you?
No, another player did.
There's someone else. That's funny.
The Cabbage Merchant endurance me, but he had
Charles. Was it Charles?
I don't know if it was Charles.
I don't know if it was Charles. Charles is great. Shout out Charles. He's awesome. He's playing Cabbage Merchant, so I assume it might be him.
Yeah. But he had a Famished World Sire on the stack, and we buried it. And then we just finished the game. Because I was like, we can't do this. He can't have 36 lands. Or whatever, looks at a land. I don't know. Whatever that crazy card does.
So funny. That's awesome.
So, you know what's interesting? I feel like player skill is going up on average.
Yeah,
and
100%.
like one of the things you said that it made me think about that was bouncing an early piece and like an early mana dork on a deck that you would normally people would see that just like in a vacuum. They would look at you doing that and go, oh, he's throwing. Why would he do that? What a stupid thing to interact with. But really what you're doing is like a 4D chess. You're like, I need to get to my next turn. I need to take them off mana to do that because I know what this deck plans to do in the next turn rotation. So I'm going to interact early and preemptively so that I can basically continue to set up my board and get in a more controlling position, right? And I think more players are developing that mindset almost at the higher levels in like a tournament like we were just at. Don't you agree?
Yeah, and I think you have to be really careful with this one. Like, this is a play that is like very situational. Like in this game, we kind of all had guns at each other's head already, and this player was honestly not in a great spot. It's not like they were really ahead, but it was the most impactful play I had, like with that Chain of Vapor, and I'm going to tap out from it. I'm really not thinking that I need to get to my turn with them. Like, honestly, there's a world that it doesn't even help me get to my next turn at all, because they said they had an interaction and I'm tapping them out of it. They told me that they're going to be tapped out on the next turn. There was a fish in play. I'm like, just don't draw up this fish and I'll do it. The whole thought was, I think I believe I had like Disrupting Shoal in hand, and another player indicated that they had interaction, and like the other player has like a fish. So it just kind of felt like it was kind of a stalemate, and I was like, so basically it wasn't even about that turn cycle. It was probably like 2 turn cycles down the road. I'm like, this is going to just set them back significantly. It's also going to be like preventing them from doing a Freed from the Real combo on this, because that's why that card's in the deck. And so if I just do this preemptively, like I'm not going to get better value from this later. And I think everyone else has each other under control. I think I wouldn't do that play, even if if I was worried a little bit more about someone else winning because I didn't have them in the game. But I felt like everyone else was able to be in a good spot. And then we kind of like brought that player back into the game. Later on in that game, they played a Tezzeret, and they were like, I'm pushing. And I showed them 2 pieces. I'm like, don't push. Just sack your Tezzeret, get a Phyrexian Metamorph of my Nezza Hall, and then also activate Wishclaw and get a Mystic Remora. Now you have double draw engine, and you could play the game, because if I he was the person right after me in turn order, and if I have to use all my interaction on him, I'm dying to the next people for sure. There's in that case, like I think that's what breaks open the game. There's no reason they shouldn't push. And even if they don't get there, the next person will get there because I'm last in turn order, right? And I'm going to be tapped out. So like, anyways, point is, it's like, I feel like a lot of the time it's like, basically you're trying to build your game state to where you want it to be. Not necessarily like trying to live that turn cycle. It's like, I'm trying to get this stalemate that lasts for a long time so that I can get developed, because I wasn't, in an amazing spot at the time. And I can be in the game and be in a spot where I think I can beat all my opponents. And again, unfortunately, that took a lot of time to get there, and it became a draw, but I did get to that game state. I was able to interact. Like, they were all looking at each other, no interaction left in their decks. They drew their entire decks, and I'm like, I put a win on the stack and it resolved. So like, that's the point that I want to be at, but I needed 10 more minutes or 5 more minutes.
Mm-hmm. That's the tough part, man. Like, the time limit is a pain in the butt sometimes, and especially when you're playing a deck that takes a while to get there, and then you have to tempo somebody, and that means you have to take a little bit longer to get there. You're like, oh my gosh, like, and then you got to like listen to people hem and haw about certain things or nothing at all. Like, they'll fetch and take 2 minutes. You're like, okay,
right,
you don't have to do this,
right?
And
honestly, that's why, like, I think with yourself, like, yourself included, you should be making sure the game goes quickly even in the beginning, because it doesn't feel like it, but there's not a lot of time in this round. And so like, if you're not moving quickly in the beginning of the game and making sure people are playing at a reasonable place, yourself included, you're going to get to these times where you didn't have that extra 5 minutes that you could have had.
Yeah, if you're gonna turbo, you're gonna turbo, and then guess what, you're out of the game. It's okay. You don't need to take 10 years getting there. Now, what I will say is, if you're going through a complicated win line, it's okay to like take a breath. It's fine to do that. But if you're like fetching, as an example, it's like, brother, just what you need. Look at your hand. What colors are they? Go get that card. Like, you don't need to spend 10 years doing that. Or you can even do. Be careful saying this, but like, okay, I'm gonna fetch. It's a Badlands Imperial Seal. I'm gonna go grab the Badlands. I'm gonna Imperial Seal. Is everybody good with that? Yes. Imperial Seal, good. While you're getting the Badlands, yes. Okay, I'll grab the card I'm gonna get. Within reason. You don't want to like rush too much, because you don't want to do that. But that's an example of like,
totally, let's
move the game along. You don't have to sit there and you can almost just by your actions like start pushing the game along for the other players. They'll behave like you are.
Totally. And of course, I do think you like need to be careful about shortcutting like two things at once. Like, I mean, not that it can't happen, especially in the early game, but like, especially when things get more complicated, but like, still, yeah, agreed. Just like make sure you're moving the game state on. And I think a lot of the times is like, when people are taking a little bit longer on their decisions, just give them a little bit of, be nice, but give them like a little bit of urgency. Be like, hey, like, we got to keep this moving. Like, we got to take a game action. It's been a little bit since we take a game action. Just be like, and then, and they're like, oh, sorry. It's like, oh, it's okay. It's fine. Just, we do need to keep moving. Like, I think be nice about urging people to move forward, because like, everything takes a while. It's hard. Magic is hard. Magic is very hard. You need to think about things, and that's okay, as long as you are playing at a reasonable pace. And
like, the big thing is, I'm starting to see the same faces. I feel like I don't know. Here's another question for you. We're talking about the 26th season. I feel like some players are getting a little exhaustion. So last year, huge explosion. The format grows like a lot. You know what I mean? The end of the year, we were all in Pittsburgh. 500-person tournament, massive turnout, huge, awesome tournament. Everybody's there having a good time. This year, I feel like double the amount of diamonds and platinums than there were last year. And I've got some players, like I had a buddy, won't name names, but shows up Friday, plays practice games with, me and a couple of friends at the Airbnb, and goes, I'm exhausted. I'm just going to go home. I was like, what? He's like, I just can't play anymore, man. I'm done. I don't want to play this deck. I'm tired. I'm going home. I'm like, really? And they left. And, no knock on them, but I think it's a little bit of a microcosm of what's going on right now, is people are just kind of exhausted. Do you get that feeling too? Like, there's a little bit of fatigue?
Yeah, I do. I think I'm a little bit fatigued. But like, I think part of it is I still enjoy the format for sure. But like, I mean, a lot of it for me, I think, is these games that go to time pretty consistently and all these triggers. And I think that like, having, it all comes back to me for Ristic Study. It's not like only Ristic Study's fault. It doesn't solve everything. But I think if there's one less in the format, you get less clones and less of these games. And it's like, not all these games are decided by Ristic Study. Again, we saw in the finals of this tournament that there's, none of these decks are based around it. Like, that's fine. Like, there's going to be other games that exist, but like, a lot of them still are. And I think it's one of the best things you can possibly be doing. And again, like, I think it goes to show you that like, when there's these creature heavy decks that are kind of like literally built to beat Ristic Study because they're trying to go under it and it's hard to interact with them, like, that's also telling, right? Even if they're not the culprit themselves. So I think that's been a little bit of the burnout for me, is just like, these games go to, and there's a lot of draws because of it, because there's a lot of like there's not that much time in a round. And once you get to these games, like I think actually in Pittsburgh, we were in a spot where we're not even that close to the round ending, but everyone was basically like set up to draw their entire deck before the game would end. Like we had, I think, like 6 draw engines in play, 2 smothering tithes, a storm kiln artist, and a cabbage merchant spread across the board. Like,
ew.
Everyone has the mana to cast every card in their deck as we cast more spells. Like, it's not going to end. And we're like, you know what? We're going to draw anyway. Let's get food. It's like, there's no point in playing this out. If it was a top cut game, no, we just left. We all just were like, yeah, we can't end this game because it would take too long. Like, obviously I wanted to play that out. Like, but I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do this because there's no point. We can't finish this game. If we had the time to finish it, obviously, like that's a whole different story. But like I love those games, but now it's like, now when you know it's going to end in a draw, it's like, I don't want to play it. I mean, not that it always will, but this game, like everyone there was good players. So we like Andy Beach was in that pod with me. Yeah. So like, and Andy and I like I know Andy knows what he's doing. We're not gonna, he's not gonna make a mistake that lets me win the game, right? Like, yeah. So we're just, and he's on Rog Ishai. Like, it's like we're going to fight throughout this entire game. He wasn't on like the
3 a.m. practice. I stayed with Andy in the Airbnb, so the 3 a.m. practice sessions were with him every game. I was like, mother of God, please let this end. Like, you know.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a little bit telling. I think that like. I think that the meta can definitely adapt. We'll see where it goes. It's always going to change. It's not like it's totally stale or anything like that. But I definitely want to see Ristic go. It'll make everything a lot better, I think.
Yeah. I tried to
still draw engines without Ristic.
In my last Swiss game, dude. Me and him we met at the end. And I was like, I was in seat 1 and I was like, get probe, Andy. Let me see your hand. And he showed me his hand and he didn't have any interaction for a Thoracle. Tainted Pact. I was like, sick. Tainted Pact. And then
I think you told me about this game. Yeah.
He knew immediately what I was doing. He's like, okay, Magda, what do you got? And Magda's like, I can make 9 treasures on turn 2, and I'll put a Torpor Orb into play. And I was like, no! So I just, I didn't win that one. But they drew, and I didn't have to sit there, which was nice. So
let's go! Best of both worlds. You leave.
Yeah. I got to go play Redemption. I was like, goodbye, Andy. Have fun with this.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
No, awesome.
All right, cool, man. So we talked about the season. We talked about your travel this year, which is insane, but God bless you, dude. Let's talk about some updates to the decks that you're playing right now. And I also want to go over, you mentioned Shorikai. I want to look at that list. And then if you're cool with it, I want to check out Dargo Thrasios too.
Yeah, sure.
So let me share my screen over here.
Sounds good.
And we'll get into the MOXFIELD, man. By the way, is that Sulphur Springs as your profile photo? I feel like it's
forever.
Forever.
Like ever. I don't think I've ever changed it since I got into, since Discord Magic, yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, all good.
All right, so I'm not even looking at the deck. Anybody that wants to look up NBC, it's got like 100,000 views. Go look at it. You know what I mean? Go check out the deck. What I want to look at is the last, month and a half, 3 months, things that you've changed in and out, and talk about some of the decisions that you made. Because I think this is more interesting because, people they can go look at the list. So tell me about sudden substitution. I know a bunch of people have been talking about it, but is it just so good because it's of the split second? And then also you have Kinnan, so 4 mana is not that big of a deal. Is that the thought?
Yeah. I mean, I think 4 mana still is a big deal. I think this is specifically for the big games and like, especially Top Cut, but like just any of those big games. Really, there's a few situations that are really good here. One of them is someone resolves a flash enabler. You can just take it without them doing anything. They cannot respond because it's split second, so they resolve a Valley Floodcaller or a High Fate Trickster, and you could just swap it with something on the stack. So in a big stack war, it's another way to get a flash enabler in play without anyone being able to respond to you. And it makes this weird dynamic of like, okay, I'm just waiting for the first person other than me to put a flash enabler in play. I never need to fight over mine because it'll just resolve or it'll already be resolved, right? So that's super powerful.
Okay, so real quick, let me read this sucker. So sudden substitutions, 2 and 2 blue, instant, split second, which means as long as it's on the stack, players can't cast spells, activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. And it says exchange control of target non-creature spell and target creature, then the spell's controller may choose new targets for it. So does that include sudden substitution? Like, can you exchange, or is that not? It would be like something lower on the stack.
Yeah, it could be like, it has to be something lower on the stack. Yeah.
So
but in a stack war, you're going to have a counter spell that is there. I mean, it doesn't, like, none of that's going to resolve anyway when you have a big stack, right? Like, the first, whatever started the stack war doesn't matter. You just got to give them anything, and you have a flash enabler, so you're going on top anyway, right? So, yeah, once you have that flash enabler, like, or once they have a flash enabler in play, you can just take it and then, like, instantly win the game. Well, I mean, not always, but, like, if you're the first one with the flash enabler, people are low on mana, you have a ton of rocks. Mana, like, when you've drawn a lot of your deck, mana is king and mana is everything. And so the flash enabler lets you have that as well as push the win afterwards.
Okay. And so then you took subtlety and Cephalid Coliseum out. What is this?
Yes, Ipnu Rivulet.
It's a land? A
yeah,
desert?
So this is basically in some ways worse Cephalid Coliseum. But it is in here because it allows you to, I mean, this is just like a call based on the structure of CEDH tournaments. It is allowing you to mill out all of your opponents without making them make any decisions. The other win cons that we have at instant speed, of course, you can finale people sorcerer speed. That's always fine. That's going to work. But if you need to win on someone else's turn or post combat, and you are Cephalid Coliseum them, can you hover over that Cephalid Coliseum?
Yeah. I already know where you're going, but keep going. Yeah,
so you're going to make them, basically, I mean, there's a few ways to do this. You're going to loop Endurance, you're going to put Flash Photography, you're going to cast Flash Photography targeting Cephalid Coliseum. That's the easiest way to do it. You can also use Hidden Strings looped, or you can use Mirage Mirror looped. But regardless, you're going to, and there's a few ways to do that. Like, I don't think we need to get into the details, but you can make infinite Cephalid Coliseums with Flash Photography, or use the other methods to get infinite activations of Cephalid Coliseum. Same thing with Ipnu Rivulet, right? But if you're using Cephalid Coliseum to make someone draw 3 and discard 3, right? Oh, sorry, one more thing to preface this. This is, of course, after you have infinite mana. You've drawn your deck.
This is a
you
finisher.
beat your opponents. They have nothing else to do. Like, you've already won the game, right? You bounce all their mana rocks and try to move phases, whatever you need to do, right? They have to draw 3 cards and discard 3 cards. This will kill them. You can, if they respond with anything, you can just, put more Cephalid activations on the stack, targeting them. It is going to kill them. They won't be able to respond. You just got to make sure they don't have too much mana for some weird split-second shenanigans. That's it. But the issue here, of course, is that they have to just discard 3 cards every time. It's not even the drawing as much as now they have to choose 3 cards to discard, and they have to make that decision. Like, you can't get their hands empty, so it's not like they're able to just draw a discard. Like, they have to choose, and, a judge is going to back them up because, who knows, it's relevant. You have to think about the decision. You don't want to discard the wrong card. So, you can't shortcut it, is the big point. And Fairy Mastermind is the other option, which makes everyone draw at once. It's not easy to shortcut because they could respond. They're getting new information, etc. Ipnu Rivulet does not introduce new information to their hand, of course, in their graveyard, but, you're basically able to shortcut milling their entire deck. And then once you've done that, you could just activate a Fairy Mastermind to make them draw a card, or another way I'll talk about in a second to make them draw a card. But the downside is now it doesn't win on its own, right? So Cephalid Coliseum forces them to draw for an empty library, which does kill them. Ipnu Rivulet just puts them empty. So the reason that could be a downside is if your Fairy Mastermind was exiled for any reason, you cannot kill them here, which actually sudden substitution solves that issue. So sudden substitution allows you to give your opponents a Wan Shitong, a Nezahal, or a you could even give them a City of Brass. The idea is you're going to swap with a Flash Photography on the stack. So, if they have, there's a couple ways to do it. If they have a creature, just don't bounce all their creatures. Pretty much always someone has a creature. So swap with the creature they have and your Flash Photography on the stack. They'll choose new targets, and then you misdirect the target back to what you want. So Wan Shitong. And then you give them a Wan Shitong. You repeat the same thing, except for all the other opponents. And then you just cast any tutor, and they all die because they draw from an empty library because we already milled them with Ipnu Rivulet. You could technically use this as a win con on its own by giving them each of those and then infinitely tutoring and recurring a tutor. So that actually is another way to win, similar to Fairy Mastermind. It's just, one of those things that it's like, and if they make you play it out, it's just a little bit slow and annoying. So obviously the ideal is using Ipnu Rivulet. But yeah, this is just making sure that if we have 5-10 minutes left in the game, we can still kill our opponents. And they can't just, choose what their discards are and decide that they are going to get a draw from timing us out.
Yeah. What a deep bucket pull for like you to be like, you know what? Because guess what? I played Jonah last year at the in the Open, and he had us in time, me and 2 other blue farms.
Yep.
And I was like, he was fairy mastermind looping us, and I was like, I concede. The other 2 were like, you know what? We might draw something. I'm like, no, you won't. Like, just concede. What are we doing? You know, and Jonah was like,
it's like over.
I can't do anything about this. And then he got timed out, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, for a while, it's like, it won't happen that often. And then now in the current meta, it does happen. It does happen often. Even in finals. Against Andy Beach, I've gotten timed out. And by the way, I don't hold it against people. Like, I get it. You're playing your outs. I think it, like, once someone's won the game, it's like, if they've totally won the game, you know, I think you should let them have it. If it's like fully resolved. But like, play your outs. Like, if there's a lot of money on the line, it is what it is, right? Like, you have to build your deck in a way that does that. And so I've finally made that swap to build the deck in a way that beats people in time. That's the whole thing.
And what's the big, you know, between these 2, it's already situational enough that by the time you're grabbing this stuff, you know, like one finisher or the other, and this one's more efficient, that sounds good, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you have, like, the only downside is if you, like, have exiled Sudden Substitution, as well as, like, well, I guess, Sudden Substitution and Fairy Mastermind is the only time this won't win the game. That's it. So, you're good, you know?
Yeah, you're fine.
Yeah, that's it.
At that point, you're drawing the game, you know what I mean? Or you're going to do something else that has to win you the game. But, like, you know, it is what it is. Why Veil of Summer out and Dispel and just max in on blue?
It's just that it's a little bit, like, in the early game, Dispel is more powerful. It allows you to back up a win attempt, or like attack like an Ad Naz, or help. I mean, realistically, like, one of the biggest things about Dispel that I like a lot is it allows you to back up someone else's interaction. So it makes an interesting play pattern where if someone is interacting with another opponent's win con, or sorry, they're asking you to interact with another opponent's win con, you get to say, I can back you up, but I can't stop this. This doesn't counter Necropotence, but I can back you up your interaction against Necropotence. And that's really powerful, right? Because it allows you to hold the counter spell a lot of the time because, you know, they interacted with the Necropotence, and now the player who casts the Necropotence is like, oh, well, I have 1 piece of backup. I don't have 2, so I might as well not even cast it. Now all of a sudden you're left with the Dispel, the Necropotence is gone, and the other player's counterspell is gone, and you're in a better spot. That's not always the case, but I think that's like definitely a common play pattern with this. And of course, it's great backing up your own stuff. Also, one thing that Veil of Summer doesn't do is it doesn't interact with Commandeer on your Rhystic Study. It doesn't interact with a Misdirection. It doesn't interact with all kinds of things. And so a Deflecting Swat. Because they can still target your stuff that is on the stack. They just can't counter it. Mindbreak Trap, it doesn't stop, right? So Veil of Summer is really good because it's another answer to like a Brain Freeze, it's another answer to a Flusterstorm. But I just don't think we need it. I think it's totally fine. It's kind of like, it used to be like, oh cool, we'll cast Veil of Summer. That's our like silence effect when we go infinite, but you just don't need it anymore. You just like, you're able to kill them with Ipnu Rivulet without them drawing any cards. So there's not really any like worry about them casting anything after you've gone infinite and are executing your win con. Like, you don't really need the Veil.
I love it. And then the One Ring in, that's interesting because a lot of people look at the One Ring and they go, it's a slow draw engine. You know what I mean? Like, we're never going to get there. But are you banking on your drawing cards already? Or this is like a nice, easy way to get the draw engines going? Or, you know, what's the thought?
Yeah, I mean, basically, this is the same time I added Sylvan Library back, which I hate much more than the One Ring. Well, actually not back. I think it's the first time ever adding Sylvan Library to the deck was, this when it was added recently. It's just that you need to have more mulligans that can play the game. Like, I'm okay keeping a Wan Shi Tong in a mulligan. I'm okay keeping a Fairy Mastermind. But, like, I can't find those every game. And the issue is that you need mana and something to do. So when you find these, like, hands that have, 5 mana, 7 mana on turn 2, you need to be able to keep them. And One Ring is a really good way to do that. Sylvan Library is a okay way to do that. I'd say a necessary way to do that right now, not a good way. I hate that card. So I think that the One Ring, it has been good, honestly. It's been like, there's a lot of like synergies in the deck, even though there's no Seedborn Muse. We have Hidden Strings, we have Dramatic Reversal, Hidden Strings honestly is the nuts.
It's so good.
With One Ring, it's insane. Like you make the mana and you draw more cards. All of a sudden, like you play it turn 1, or like the first turn you play it, if you can Hidden Strings and attack with it, you're drawing 6. Like that's nuts. So it's just maximizing draw engines for mulligans. It's specifically about mulligans, right? Like the One Ring, yeah, it can matter later, but like the whole point is I want to be able to get an early One Ring down, and have all these other ways to do it. So,
and the big thing with Hidden Strings is the cipher, right? Because you cast it once, you untap 2 things. And then you cipher it onto like whatever, a kin, and most other decks, you know, something big, basically, so you can, every time you go to combat, untap 2 permanents, right? And can't you untap the ring twice with the same Hidden Strings activation?
No, it does have to be different targets.
Yeah,
just like the same way you can't like deflecting swat like all the targets of Mindbreak Trap to like one target. You do have to have the same number of targets. So yeah, you can't target the same thing twice. But again, you know, making mana and drawing cards, that's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And even if you don't cipher this card's great in Kinnan. Like it can, you know, untapping an Arcane Signet and a Soul Ring is making you a lot of mana, right? It's going to make you like an extra 3 mana just from that. So it's like better than Dark Ritual. Like, I don't know. It's really good.
Yeah. Very cool, man. And you felt like even though the list, you didn't have a stellar performance, but to me, fantastic, but a stellar performance.
No, it didn't go well.
RNG really, like the meta was responding a little bit to the MVC. People were trying to get around it in a lot of ways, and that led to difficult games.
I think the deck still felt good. There's like arguments that I could have definitely made. Like I just don't want to blame it all on RNG. Obviously, like that's not what I'm trying to do.
That's fair.
I think that I could have made definitely different decisions in a couple games, the earlier games. I gambled on letting a player resolve a Basalt Monolith. I bounced their Kinnan, resolve a Basalt Monolith in a game where I had Flash, I had a Necro, I had a very good board state. So I bounced their Kinnan, and then I cloned their Basalt, which resolved. But I wasn't able to get there. Like I had like to spin Kinnan for it, and it just like ended up being I needed to fight and draw more cards on it. So the gamble didn't pay off, right? And they ended up having 6 pieces of backup.
Holy! I was like, bro, you sound like you're in a great spot.
I mean, it was basically the gamble didn't pay off, and I think I probably could have played that game a little bit better. So like I think that's definitely like that could have mattered. I do think there was definitely some. I mean, also like I still think I win that game if they don't have 6 pieces of backup. I believe it was 6. It was 5 or 6. They beat 5 of our pieces. So you know. And so I felt pretty rolled up there, and then they had a lot. I mean, they drew a lot of cards, right? But I just like, you know, it was their turn without mana. They had a bunch of rocks that they flashed in to be able to cast. I mean, it doesn't matter really the situation. I probably could have like made some different decisions. Sometimes though, it's like some of these decisions are like taking a gamble a few turns out, right? And like I think that sometimes those pay off and sometimes they don't, and that's why CEDH is so interesting.
I went to the Redemption. Started in round 3, which by the way, my losses in rounds 1 and 2 didn't count towards my record. Love it. You know, just basically went, you know, my 3 games. Loss, win, and then I ended up clinching the last one. And so I like just high rolled the last 2 games. And the last game, there was a Selvala Explorer returned. I don't know if you played against that guy in the main event.
I didn't.
I basically had Tataru into Hexing Sculpture, and then I had a Culling the Weak, and I had Naws, Beseech, and Necro in my hand. That was my hand. And I was like, so Pat is a really good Kinnan player from, you know where he's from. You know Pat. I know you know Pat. But,
yeah.
I forget where he's from, but yes, Kinnan list, and he does like the tapper, untapper, Pili Pala stuff.
Yeah.
I knew he had a Pact of Negation, so I was like, I'm just going to Beseech. I'll kill the Tataru. And I'm like, what do I get? I don't know. Rhystic Studies, Smothering Tide feels really good going into the Selvala, you know? So I was like, guys, what do you think? And they were like, I don't know, Rhystic or Tithe, both are fine. I'm like, sick. We'll go with a Tithe.
What?
You know, everybody says it's fine. Okay. Well,
No
I put a Tithe
way!
into play. And then this is turn, I think we're going into his turn 3, my turn 2. I was in C4. Selvala does 3 activations, draws me into a Mindbreak Trap and something else. Everybody freaks out because they put like a very resilient win on the stack, but they'd made me 11 treasures in like 3 game actions, you know? And so I was like, what are we going to do, guys? You know, like the Mindbreak Trap should be last, you know, that should be the big thing. And everybody's like, we're out. And I'm like, sweet, Naws, you know? and that got me there. And it was just a gamble. I was like, I'm just gonna put the Tithe into play.
But you have 11 mana, like, you know, like, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The gamble on the Tithe. Yeah, I mean, Tithe is insane. I love that card. No one lets me have it anymore. It's so sad.
I know. It's like, do you ever miss silences playing Kinnan?
Okay, honestly, you wanted to talk about Dargo Thrasios, and this maybe is a good transition into that. Because I think that silences have always been something that, like, don't get me wrong, they're very strong, amazing. I think that, like, I've always loved wins that are like resilient without silences, like not a cop out, like, oh, I've resolved this abolisher, you just didn't have a creature counter. Like, I feel like that's the most fun thing for me to do. I like back in the days of Dockside when Dargo Thrasios was like actually a real, like, you know, one of the meta decks. I think that like one of the coolest things was you resolve a Dockside and you put like 3 wins on the stack and you have 4 pieces of backup. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, you stop the first one, that's fine. Stop the second one, that's fine. Now the third one goes, and now I back it up 4 times. Like, you have to have like 7 pieces to stop me. Like, that's so fun. So I love those resilient game plans, those resilient win attempts that you can do. So I think that yeah, I mean, silences are fantastic, but I think that I really, really enjoy getting to a spot where I've, like, you know, collected enough resources that I don't need to, like, I could just beat all your pieces. I have 1 more piece than you, like, than all my opponents combined, right? And I can
that's just more satisfying for you to win like that.
I think it's super fun, and that's like kind of why I like the
agency in the game. I feel like, you know, like if you're playing like blue farm or anything that has white in it, people are always kind of side-eyeing you in a game because they know at any point you can just drop a voice or a grand abolisher, and so you get a lot more agency in a game when you're like, I'm running with no safety net, you know, or, you know, just basically riding to the death. Okay, so I am not familiar with Dargo Thrasios. You don't have to give me the hour-long spiel, but what in a can is this deck?
Yeah, so well, I mean, a little bit of preface is like it has changed since its inception because of Dockside. Dockside, this is a deck that was built around Dockside, and now like, you know, it is not, because Dockside doesn't exist. But Dargo Thrasios is this like layered combo creature deck that allows you to have all these like 2-card combos with Dargo that are super powerful, as well as payoffs with Dargo, like a Eldritch or Birthing Pod effect, where you can pod Dargo into a Tidespot Tyrant and then win the game. Currently, it's built to do a lot of the Rhystic Study things as well as those combos. Like, I think it's like still able to pivot between the two. We have some clones in here like Flash Photography and a few other things, but in general here, if you want to go down to the artifacts, I'll show you just like the basic idea. And there's a few combos like this, but if you look at Phyrexian Altar, sacrifice a creature, add 1 mana of any color, and then Relic of Legends, tap it on type creature you control, add 1 mana of any color. So if you want to go up to Dargo, basically all this is you start by sacrificing 3 things: artifacts and creatures. So sacrifice some dorks and 2 rocks to make Dargo cost 1. Then what you can do is you can just sacrifice Dargo to Phyrexian Altar. That'll be another sacrifice that'll count on top. So now the cost reduction is going to be 8 and allows you to recast Dargo for 1 again. That'll go infinite on its own. So you can now just infinitely cast Dargo. And if you're tapping him in between with Relic of Legends, now you make infinite mana and Thrasios is your outlet. So it's a very clean, you know, combo where it's like all of these things are just going to, you know, they work together really powerfully. You could do, of course, Relic of Legends and Goblin Bombardment. There's a few creature untappers. Selvala draws your deck because every time he enters, he draws you a card with Phyrexian Altar. Altar of Dementia plus Relic. Like, there's a bunch of these like layered combos. So it's like basically you have a bunch of A's and a bunch of B's, and you don't care which one you get of each. You just need to find 1 of each and put them together. Of course, the downside is if you draw 2 A's or 2 B's, you're a little sad. But you know, there's a lot of ways to fix that.
That's about it. Yeah.
So yeah, this deck is super fun. It's again tuned towards the Rhystic meta at the moment. But yeah, back in the day, it was just like resolve a Dockside, and then the powerful thing with Dockside was you can, of course, Eldritch Evolution, Dargo into a Tidespot Tyrant, and then your Dockside made you the mana and the sacrifices to get Dargo for 1. But it also goes infinite with the Tidespot on its own, so you don't need 2 mana positive rocks. You can just recast Dargo to bounce the Dockside, recast the Dockside to bounce the Dargo, and all of a sudden you make infinite mana and draw your deck with Thrasios. So that was the part of this. And so basically the whole deck was built around Finale of Devastation for 2 or whatever for 2 to get Dockside into play, and then you're going to win somehow.
Game's over. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like Life's Legacy to draw 7 cards off your Dargo because he costs 1 to cast in the first place. So fun. I mean, yeah, super good. Yeah, so this deck is super cool.
What's going on with this card?
Yeah, so basically, well, each player, as you cast it, each player can decide if they want to give you a creature they control.
Here, I can read it for you. I feel like you've been talking for 10
ahead.
hours. I'm going to give you a second. So it's Seize the Spotlight as 2 and a red, sorcery. It says each opponent chooses Fame or Fortune. For each player who chose Fame, you gain control of a creature that player controls until end of turn. Untap those creatures and they get haste until end of turn. And then for each player who chose Fortune, you draw a card and create a treasure token. So it's like an insane effect on a card, but it's a 3-mana sorcery, right?
The whole thing with this is that they often don't want to give you a creature because you can sacrifice it to Dargo, right? So oftentimes it's 3 mana to make 3 mana and draw 3 cards. So it's Ancestral Recall for free. Not always, but a lot of the time. And even if it's like draw 2, make 2 mana, that's pretty good because you need to have like sack fodder for Dargo. And the thing about Dargo is you can sacrifice a treasure on its own to reduce Dargo. You don't have to sack it to Dargo. So that's really powerful.
Right.
But this is kind of just like a value card. Also, if you want to scroll up a tiny bit to the creatures, one really cool card in this deck is the first one, Aura Thief.
I just bought one.
Yeah, this card is so cool. So basically, you just sacrifice. It's just hard to interact with because
you have so many sack outlets. That's why it's good in this list.
Dargo is, I mean, you just use Dargo is the best one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, yes, if you have a sack outlet, but like ideally you just cast Dargo and then, so like the whole point is like, it's a creature, so it's hard to counter. You spend 4 mana, and then the next thing you do is sacrifice it to Dargo, which is a cost that cannot be responded to. So they can respond to the trigger, but they can't remove it by the time that you do it. So they have to have specifically a creature counterspell, or you take all the Ristics, all the Mystics, all the Smothering Tithes on the board. Enduring Vitality is honestly another one that matters a lot. And then, I mean, if you have 2 Tithes and 3 Ristic Studies, it's really hard to lose at that point.
For those that don't know, Aura Thief is a 3 and a blue illusion creature that has flying, doesn't matter. It's a 2/2, doesn't matter. It says when it's put into a graveyard from play, you gain control of all enchantments, which is busted, you know?
Yeah. And so this was kind of like one of the, new fun ways to to abuse the Dargo ability. I love it. It's so fun.
He was commentating. He terrorized our local meta with this for like all of last year when he was playing wrong side. It was just like, it wasn't even like Ristic Study wasn't even that prevalent last year. I felt like it was, normal, good, awesome, always to have it. But he was just like getting off on Aura Thiefing everybody. It was hilarious because he ran like the wrong side version that had Reanimate and Sacrifice and all these other, ways to sack the Aura Thief off and go off from there. So it was funny, man.
It's so fun. This card is so cool. I remember
would
someone
you run
posted
this
on
at
Twitter
like a big tournament?
Not right now. I don't think so.
No.
I think the deck is good, but like it's not top 5. So I don't think I would. Also, I haven't played it a lot recently, so I think I would need to make it. Basically, I don't think it's perfectly tuned. I think it needs some.
You'd have to make some swaps to make it.
It's just been a while. I think it needs some updates and just some love to. I think it's in a decent spot, but I don't think it's like solved where this list is at right now. So I would definitely want to play it a bunch and test it a bunch and make sure that like things are feeling good. Like, for example, like Worldly Tutor has been cut from Kinnan for a long time, and it's like things like that. It's like, well, this card's generically good, but like, is there a slot that is going to better advance our game plan? Like, how many tutors are too many tutors? How much interaction is too much interaction? Like, where do you draw the line of the last clone effect? Like that kind of thing, I think needs a little bit of tuning to be for me to feel comfortable playing that in like a bigger tournament. And I think like realistically, it's like there's a few decks that are just dominating the meta for a reason right now, and I like to play decks that are good. So I definitely want to go into a tournament right now expecting to like win. I would absolutely take this to LobbyCon or locals. That's a little different. I would definitely be down for that.
Heck yeah. Or locals.
Yes.
Or take it to a locals and just
totally
try and go crazy, right? Because I cope hard. I look at this list, I go, oh, this looks so fun. Like, to win with this is kind of like my brain thinking, like the way you think about not having silence but still winning tournaments. It's like, if I won with this, like, what does that say about me? I can win with a crazy, Dargo deck.
You should do it, man.
Oh God, don't tell me that. I'm gonna go like 1-0-5 with this. No, I'll go 1-4-0 with this list because I've. It's so fun though. All right, Goblin Bombardment's an outlet. I mean, this deck's sweet. Whatever you want to say. Its style points is 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
All right, and then let's talk about Shorikai, because I like we started this whole conversation, and I know we're kind of winding down here, but the whole conversation was this was the impetus for the MBC list, right? You took Shorikai to a couple tournaments, you did really well, and the idea with this list was exactly what MBC is, and you were like, well, wait a minute, Kinnan is the mana fix for this, right?
Yeah.
But let's talk about, so Shorikai's a little bit of a different beast, because you have some interesting stacks pieces in here that I think are really cool, and the game plan, I'm sure, even though it's similar, has its differences, right?
Yeah, 100%. And actually, this list is like very light on stacks pieces. Do you want to go on the artifacts? I don't even know if there are any in the current list. There might be.
I think the only one I saw, you have a Graph Digger's Cage, which
Grafdigger's.
is kind of a stacks piece,
and Blind Obedience. I think those are the only two.
Yeah. Is Blind Obedience an outlet, by the way? Is that a win con in the list?
Yeah, it is. Though at this point, might be worth getting rid of. This might need a little bit of love to like tune to the end too. I have looked at this deck recently, but and actually I think I just ordered another copy of it, just another playtest deck. So I'm going to be playing this soon again. I took it apart to grab cards for Kinnan when I was recently, and then I haven't been playing it for a bit. But this deck is awesome. So the idea of this deck is that like this is like a control. Well, okay, I don't want to actually call it a control list, because I don't think that's what it is. I think it is still a mid-range list. You have these control elements that allow you to like break some parity, and like the big thing is like these board wipes. And so this is going to be pretty good into a creature meta, like we were just talking about. So like Out of Time is a brutal card. It's not that they can't beat that, right? Like they can eventually get rid of the Out of Time, but if they don't have an answer for this enchantment, like this is going to be like all kinds of board states. Like it's kind of hard to remove an enchantment a lot of the time, especially if you're not drawing cards to find the answer. So in that top 4 pod, if I was playing Shorikai, I think I'd feel pretty good if I were,
oh my gosh,
casting an Out of Time on all of the creatures in the pod. But basically, this is just like phasing them out so they can't even get their commanders back. So if they cannot remove Out of Time, the commanders cannot be put back in the command zone. Because vanishing doesn't phasing out doesn't let you. So
because they're technically treated as just they don't exist, but they're still technically in play, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not changing zones; they're just phased.
They're not changing, and you can only put a commander in the command zone when it changes zones.
Changes zones, exactly.
So
similar with like Oubliette, I think. Doesn't Oubliette?
I think so.
Oh man,
I don't remember, but yeah, any phase out is going to be like that.
Casual cards in the CEDH podcast.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, you have that. You also have the blasphemous act of white, which is vanquish the horde, which is fun.
Man. Talk about casual cards. Where is that thing?
It's a little higher on the right there.
That's a sorcery.
I mean, it's a 2 white to kill all creatures is insane. And here's the thing: Shorikai makes pilots that you do not care about. And so basically you're just going to activate Shorikai, put some pilots into play, and then all of a sudden this always costs 2 white, or almost all the time. And
hey,
it can be really good.
When you introduce you to my friend, Vanquish the Horde.
Exactly. Right? It's so cool. I love this card. But yeah, I mean, this deck is super cool. You get to have Unwinding Clock is like a 1-card combo because, a lot of your stuff's artifacts. It'll untap Shorikai.
So good.
And then basically like the idea is like, you get an Unwinding Clock and then you get the 1 ring in play and then you win the game. Like it's so hard to lose at that point. You have one of the coolest things I like about this deck is you can get Coveted Jewel as your like one of your payoffs. So you can get Coveted Jewel into play a few ways. You can like transmute an artifact for it, which is super fun. But you can get it into play. There's a Mishra's Workshop even to make that taps for 3 artifact mana. But once it's in play, there's so many ways to abuse this card. I love this card so much, and no one expects it. You can copy it.
It's funny. I was looking at this list before we started talking, and I was like, "What the hell is Coveted Jewel doing in this list? Like, what is happening now?"
Well, it wins with Displacer Kit, and you like cannot lose. So like, if you just get like those 2 win the game, they'll draw your entire deck and win. If you want to scroll down a little bit,
good.
There's so many ways to clone this. So in the enchantment section, you have Mirror Maid, which can copy it. And then the thing is, cloning it is insane because it just draws 3 for free because it taps for more mana. So you can do Mirror Maid, you can do Copy Artifact. So Copy Artifact 2, draw 3, make 3 mana. Insane. And then if you have Copy Artifact, you can then copy enchantment, your Copy Artifact, which draws you 3, makes you 3 mana. And then you could do Clever Impersonator, which basically will just net negative 1 mana to copy it, draw 3. And then you can do Phyrexian Metamorph, which is just 2 life, draw 3 cards. It just goes insane, and you're going to find a combo after that. So yeah, that's so fun to do. And then of course, Kitten, you just win the game. So that's super fun.
So I played all of that. Insane. I'm going to definitely proxy this list. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Just to do that, what you just said. Just to copy enchantment my copy artifact. You know
right?
what I mean? But then I see Mind Over Matter, and I play Tameshi. So I know Mind Over Matter. Is there a Seat of the Synod in this?
Yes, there is, but that's not even why, actually. There's, like, you can kind of work with Tameshi stuff, but it's really just for the fact that, like, if you have a bunch of cards in hand because you've been drawing a bunch of cards, you could just now cast Mind Over Matter, discard a few cards like Ritual, and then just like dig with Shorikai. So it's really, really easy to like find a win with Shorikai, and then once you find the One Ring, you win the game. And there's a lot of ways to find
because you're untapping Shorikai and tapping Shorikai, and then drawing and discarding. So you're rummaging basically like, through your whole deck.
You're rummaging, exactly. Yeah. And so it's like if you have 15 cards in hand, it's pretty hard to lose with Mind Over Matter. It's like it also is kind of like a 1-card combo. It's not like always going to be, but like you have a lot of these. The issue with this deck is you cannot tutor your win cons into play. Like Hullbreaker of Horror, you can't tutor. Or like if you did want to tutor these things, it's probably not worth it, right? So you really just want to like focus on having some density of them, drawing what you need, and then discarding them when you don't need them. Like it, you know, I know it's a bad argument to say pitches to force, but like you're gonna need to pitch to Shorikai, like discard some cards. And so it's totally fine getting rid of your win cons because you have a lot of them. As long as you know not to get rid of too many, I think is like the big thing.
Does this deck play Flash Photography?
Yes, I believe so, right? It should be in there.
My crazy person.
Oh, it doesn't. It should be. That's something that's missing from the
So
set.
there's an update. Okay. I mean, hey, look, I'm not trying to put. Look, please. The last time I updated any of my deck lists, right? But I was just wondering. I'm like, man, that because I agree with you. That's Azorius's big problem is like tutorability. You know what I mean? Like that's why Rocket Shy plays idyllic tutor, and it's like this tutor sucks, but we'll take what we can get. You know what I mean?
100%. Dizzy Spell, same type of thing. I believe, did T'Challa get added yet?
That card is busted.
Yeah,
T'Challa
that'll be in this deck
busted.
as well. That'll be in this deck as well. So
isn't it good?
Oh,
Talk to me about T'Challa, man. I think it's amazing. Like,
I mean, I don't think it's like. I think it's very good. I think it depends on the deck, right? It's going to be. It's very, very good in a deck list like this, where you. Again, it's like the whole Sylvan Library argument, right? It's like I just need to have more hands that I can mulligan to get this card advantage to find what I need. And T'Challa is going to be like often drawing at it's going to draw at a better rate than Fairy Mastermind, which is great.
And
this card's awesome.
I just think, yes, I think it's way more expensive, but the upside of the double strike on the back and every time you hit, draw a card is pretty sweet.
Well, even the fact that like, I mean, the big thing about this card is the fact that it triggers off you drawing your second card. So like, that's insane. If like, it'll trigger, a good bit more. So like you play this and then activate Shorikai and it draws you an extra card. Like this is insane.
Insane.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Very good for the deck. So
well,
I need to honestly, I'll update that after this.
We'll add T'Challa. We'll add. You're like, oh my god, I should have updated this stupid list before Sean brought it up on screen. Well, please do so that I can proxy this because I know you know this deck inside and out. And
I got you.
I'm not going to do it until I see the updates. I'll wait. I'll wait patiently.
Sounds good.
For the sudden
you won't have to be that patient, I'm sure.
Yeah. Very cool, man. Well, the last thing I wanted to chat through is just the future of the format. So I'm going to stop sharing screen and we can close up with this.
Cool.
So I was letting you know, I was talking with Baldy on Friday, and what was weird about this weekend that I think is going to become normal moving forward is Friday they had these starter tournaments like they always do. They're like basically last chance, whatever points for the main event. But this time, the difference was if you topped in one of these events, you got 2 points going into day one. And I think a couple people that I was with that got there like as those were ending, they were just kind of like coming in for the weekend. They were like, whoa, what? I didn't know these counted for points. And Baldy explained to us like, hey, this is the first time we're doing this. It's going to be a normal thing moving forward. And he explained it to me like in traditional Magic where there's like standard and modern formats, they always have the last chance qualifiers, right? And so that's not a new thing to traditional Magic professional players and amateur players. But for us, it's like, oh, like a lot of people are going into day one going, why do these people have points? And so that was one thing. What are your thoughts on that in general? Do you feel like that's good, bad, ambivalent? Like, how do you feel about Excalibur doing those types of events?
Well, I think one thing that's pretty cool is that Baldy's always trying things. I like that he's trying new point system with basically making it so lower you are in turn order, the more points you win from winning, that he does in his redemption events. I think that's awesome. I think that's pretty cool. I honestly am not, like, I haven't fully made up my mind about this. I think currently I don't like it, but I'm open to changing my mind of, having extra points from Friday events. I think that from a tournament organizer perspective, it makes some sense of like, okay, there's a reason to be here Friday, but like, you don't have to be here. And I totally get that, so I'm not fully closed off, right? I think it could be interesting. It is hard for me, it's hard to take out all personal bias, and it's like there's very little chance that I'm going to be able to play most of these on Fridays, especially because like I'm working, like I'm setting up the stream, for these events, and so like I don't get to do that on Friday. I won't have time. But that's my unique scenario, right? So I obviously don't like to go into the tournament already feeling behind. And I think that's really the downside, is like more than anything, it's like people are going to feel behind, and that doesn't feel great. But again, on the flip side, it's like, okay, cool. Maybe they'll come Friday, and maybe like we need tournament organizers to succeed. We need them to make money. Otherwise they're not going to do it. Right. And so like, I think that's something that people forget about, is that like, if this is not a business that has like sustainability, it won't happen. We don't get CEDH tournaments. We won't get that like reoccurring quality. And so, as a player, like right now where I can't play in these, don't love it. But, if I'm a player who can, I don't know, maybe that's pretty cool. And others, like Baldy mentioned, like other formats have tried it out. Like I'm definitely willing to give it a chance and let my mind be changed. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, so here's my opinion. I totally hear everything you just said. I, as a blanket, don't like it because I'm always thinking about like player experience. And to me, it's like a lot of the people are doing this as a hobby and they work on Fridays. And so it disenfranchises people that have to work, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. And that is 99%. We don't have a bunch of like professional Magic players. That said, I'm also a tournament organizer, much smaller than Baldy, right? And kind of doing more of a casual CEDH thing. Or they're competitive CEDH tournaments, but I'm more like handing out packs and crap. You know what I mean? We're having fun.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like I get the financial side of it, is you're spending a bunch of money on a humongous convention center, and you need people getting there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And he's not trying to be Mr. Local TO. He's trying to be Excalibur, which is the pinnacle of the format, the highest level of CEDH tournament play. And so if you're trying to do that, then I can totally understand him trying new things, getting people there on Fridays, offering a little bit more points to come. And like, so like blanket statement, don't like it, but I love that he's trying something, and I totally get it from a financial perspective,
I overheard him when I was walking by. I talked to somebody who was like, didn't like it. He's like, hey, we're going to try it. People don't like it, we're getting rid of it, Yeah, exactly. And I respect. And I think that it's like, it's important to try things or nothing changes, right? Obviously sometimes things aren't going to work out, and that's okay. So.
Yeah. And like the other thing I loved that somebody else hated was the scaling prize or the scaling point system in the redemption event. I freaking love that because I won 4 and 5. You know what I mean?
I think it's pretty cool.
You liked it?
I didn't play in the redemption, but I haven't played an event with this, so let me just asterisk that. But I think it's a good idea. I think it's like, incentivizes people to win from 4th seat. That's pretty cool. Like, why not? I think that like getting, I just don't see a big downside of it right now. So I'm for it. I think that seems like a good idea.
Someone was saying, so here, actually, Andy was playing in a match that he would let me know because he played in the smaller redemption event. There were 2 of them. And he said the only weird thing was player in seat 1 could not pass him in points. And so he felt incentivized. He said he didn't do this, but it was a weird dichotomy that he felt in the game that he was like, well, I don't care if this player wins because they physically cannot pass me in point structure. But the other 2 can because they're lower seat position than me and they're close to me in points because we were matched up similarly in points. And Andy was like, I didn't really like that because I felt almost incentivized to help seat 1 or like just not let seats 3 and 4 win. And it was, you know what I mean? So that was like a weird thing that was very interesting. But
That is
my
interesting.
perspective was I went into game 5 and I was in 4th seat and I won and I skyrocketed above everybody else in the tournament only with 2 wins. So it's just like this weird...
Because your wins were harder, ideally,
Yeah.
right? Like they were
Yeah.
harder. Like it's harder to win from those seats. So I think it needs more, I don't know. I'd like to look at the data. I mean, so far what they've said is that the data shows that people are drawing less and 4-seat win rate is going up. So
Love it.
maybe there's, I mean, like, I don't think that's the only metric you need to look at. And maybe like it feels worse, even if that is like a positive. Because, but like, I'm open to it. I think it seems cool.
Yeah. All right, last thing. Baldy mentioned maybe they were going away from proxies in Excalibur long term.
I've heard that too.
As a guy who, I love this format because I can play against a guy like Shaka, Pro Shaka, who's a big online player, like 15 years old or 16 years old. I don't know. Sorry, Shaka. You're probably like 20 by now. But when I met you, you were like 15. He can print a deck list and destroy my life, right? And be an excellent player.
Yeah.
So it hurts my soul to hear, hey, we're thinking about reducing the proxies. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very pro proxy.
Me too.
Extremely pro proxy. But I will say that the reason that I don't go to SCG cons, which are already not pro proxy, is not because of the proxies personally. And they definitely had turnout. The reason I don't go to those is because of prizing. And I want to go to the tournaments that have bigger prizes. This is just for me. And I think that Baldy wants to get Wizards buy-in because that's how you can get bigger prizing. And I think that if Wizards took interest in our format and made it happen, made bigger tournaments happen, made CEDH grow, got more attendance, all of that thing, I think that might be a net positive as long as there are still tournaments that are proxy friendly as well. That's the big thing. I think we shouldn't go away from proxies because the format is expensive. You just like, I mean, I have one real deck and it's not blinged out. Like, I don't know. I can't afford to buy a ton of real decks and have all the cards in CEDH. Like, I just personally can't, right? Like, and I think that a lot of people, like, I'm lucky that I do have, because I've played for a long time and I've got some prize money, won some cards. I have a real deck, but not everyone can do that. And so, like, I definitely respect that. I just think that we do need Wizards to be a part of this format for it to grow long term. And I think that if Baldy's going away from that, that's totally fine. As long as the prizing is good. If it's better, I'm going to still go to his tournaments. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's great. I just also am going to be stoked about going to the ones that are proxy friendly because, hey, I might want to play Dargo Thrasios and I don't have all the cards right now. I mean,
exactly,
as an example.
Man. I think that's exactly it. The format is maturing as a gameplay perspective, like politics is maturing. Players are the game just naturally for the format aging, right? Just like Magic as a game is aging. So more cards get put in the pool, players get better at the format because it gets older. And guess what? It also evolves. And if Wizards already took over Commander, so they own it. Right. And we're over here doing our grassroots thing separate from them. And technically, proxies are illegal for that. You know what I mean? Like they've already sent cease and desist to places because of all the proxy stuff. So it's just a natural thing. And I'm 100% with you. It's like, as long as there are tournaments that are able to have proxy policies that allow for players to come in without buying a $10,000 deck, it's okay for an Excalibur tournament to have a $100,000 prize pool that Wizards has backed up and doesn't allow for proxies because that's its own thing, right? They're separate things. They're different levels of the game. That's going to happen eventually anyways, guys. Like, you know what I mean? That's right. It's like the inevitability of this format.
Well, I hope it does. I mean, I hope Wizards gets more involved. We need them to, right?
Yeah, man. So that was my thought. I was just, he mentioned that he was very open about it. So I feel like it's okay to talk about it. And, I was like, man, what do I think about this? I'm like, as long as it's not like no tournaments, like I'm a TO, man. I want players to come to my tournaments that are local. You know what I mean? And if I say no proxies, no one's showing up. Like, it's going to be like 10 people sitting there, twiddling their thumbs. So that's my only thing is I just hope they don't clamp down.
Yeah. And I think that proxies are a fantastic way to people to get into it, people to play. Like I have so many proxy decks.
Me too.
Yeah. I'm all for it. I think that I guess the culture is what we don't want to change. We need to have players continue to accept proxies. If not all tournaments do, that's okay. because if the culture's there, there's always going to be tournaments to follow, and so that's the big thing. And again, I'm going to be stoked to go to the first CEDH Wizards tournament. Well, Wizards of the Coast has done MagicCon tournaments in the past, and they haven't been very great, just because they haven't spent a lot of time in the structures. So I guess there are some official Wizards of the Coast tournaments, but when they actually do a real, I guess, for lack of a better term, spirit of the format CEDH tournament, I'm gonna go. I'm stoked about it, right? And hopefully the prizing is bigger than we have right now. I don't know, that'd be awesome, right? So I'm about it.
Awesome. Well, hey man, thank you so much for hanging out. I want to spend the last, like I do with everybody else. This is a moment for you to just be like, hey, shout out these people, talk about F6, whatever you want. We're going to close it off. What do you want to shout out? Who do you want to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one is definitely F6. We're ramping up, trying to do more and more. So yeah, check us out. F6 Supply, shopf6.com. We got all kinds of playmats. Benny Shoga is the artist that we're working with right now, and he does amazing manga anime style arts that are matchups with anime or Magic characters on anime scenes. So super cool. Check it out. We have a token pack, all that stuff. So we also check out MTG Basics. We're doing a lot of the streaming for these tournaments. This has been a big passion project of mine as well. A way to get the video stuff to coincide with the Magic stuff. And so we're trying to up our game. We're going to be at Columbus. Of course, both of us are going to be at Columbus. So, come see us there. Check out the stream. It'll be on MTG Basics on YouTube. And yeah, I think that's it for now.
Thank you, man. Talk to you later.
Thanks, man.
Peace.